At the annual banquet, the chairman's wife, trying to curry favor with the new male assistant, handed me a divorce agreement as a year-end bonus. The entire hall fell silent. I calmly signed it and walked away. A week later, the company's stock price plummeted, leaving her completely stunned. At the annual banquet's raffle, Song Wantong, in front of over 300 employees, smiled and handed me a red gift box. Gu Yanchen. She cleared her throat. This is your special year-end bonus. I opened the box. Inside was neither a check nor a trophy, but a pre-printed divorce agreement. The laughter in the room abruptly ceased, as if cut by a knife. The stage lights shone on my face, hot and blinding. People in the audience looked down at their phones. Some mouths agape, some stealing glances at the young man standing next to Song Wantong, Lu Jingyan. 3 months ago, he had been hired as the chairman's special assistant. 26 years old, clean-cut, and eloquent. He would hand Song Wantong water during meetings and post on social media after working overtime, boasting about spending late nights with Chairman Song. Everyone in the company knew he was currently favored. But no one knew that Song Wantong and I had been married for 3 years. And even fewer knew that I had written the core algorithm behind Xingtang technology. Song Wantong stood before me in a white robe. That robe she had worn for over 400 nights in her rented apartment. Her earrings sparkled under the lights. Her voice was soft, but she deliberately let the microphone pick it up. Gu Yanchen. Let's part amicably. Someone in the audience gasped. She smiled again. You've worked hard for the company all these years. I don't want to mistreat you. The agreement is very clear. Your compensation will not be reduced. Lu Jingyan muttered beside her, Chairman Song. Director Gu should understand your position. These words were like driving the last nail into my coffin. I opened the agreement. Page 1, both parties voluntarily agree to divorce. Page 2, the husband voluntarily relinquishes all rights to the division of marital property. Page 3, the man confirms that all existing intellectual property rights of Xingtang technology belong to the company and are unrelated to him personally. Page 4, the man is prohibited from engaging in related industries for 2 years after resigning. Reading this, I couldn't help but laugh. Song Wantong stared at me. What are you laughing at? After signing the agreement, I looked up at her and smiled. You're well prepared. A strange look flashed across her face. The audience became even quieter. The host stood nearby, holding a microphone, sweating profusely, hesitating whether to interrupt. Song Wantong lowered her voice. Gu Yanchen. Stop fooling around. This is the annual event. Everyone's watching. I glanced at her. Didn't you call me up here? Her eyes turned cold. I just wanted to leave us both with some dignity. I nodded. Dignity. I took the pen from the host. Someone in the audience whispered. He's really signing. It's too cruel. Director Gu has always been low-key. I had no idea about his relationship with Chairman Song before. Don't say anything more. Assistant Lu is right there. Song Wantong frowned upon hearing the whispers. She hated losing control of the situation. She could hurt others, but she couldn't stand people talking about how she hurt others. Lu Jingyan took a half step forward. His tone gentle. Director Gu. Chairman Song hasn't had an easy time these past few years. She has to run the company, deal with investors, and consider your feelings. This is better for everyone. I didn't look at him, but simply flipped to the last page of the agreement. Before signing, I took out my phone and photographed every page. Song Wantong's face darkened. What are you doing? I said. Just keeping a souvenir. Lu Jingyan immediately interjected. Director Gu. Isn't this inappropriate? This is a private document. I finally looked at him. A private document. You're going to present this award at the annual gala. His smile froze. Someone in the audience chuckled softly, then quickly covered their mouth. Song Wantong's face instantly turned icy. Gu Yanchen. Are you trying to embarrass me? I picked up a pen and wrote my name in the signature column. Gu Yanchen. 3 words. Written steadily. I put the pen back on the tray and handed the agreement back to her. Signed. Song Wantong was stunned. She probably hadn't expected me to be so decisive. For 3 years, she had grown accustomed to my compromises. She said keeping her marriage a secret was to maintain the company's image. And I agreed. She said she needed to establish authority in the spotlight. And I stepped into the shadows. She said the project's success should primarily be attributed to the company that provided the funding. And I signed the authorization letter. She said her mother was unwell, and I shouldn't upset her. So I played the role of an ordinary colleague for 3 years. She thought I would always be there, waiting for her to turn around. But she didn't know that once someone leaves, actions speak louder than words. I turned and walked off the stage. As I reached the steps, Lu Jingyan suddenly spoke. "Director Gu, you haven't collected your year-end bonus yet." I turned around. He picked up another red envelope from the table. Grinned like a victor. "Chairman Song has prepared 200,000 yuan in compensation for you." The audience fell silent again. 200,000 yuan, buying out a 3-year marriage. Buying out the core system she'd spent countless nights developing. Buying out her path from startup founder to chairman's wife. I went back and picked up the red envelope. Song Wantong seemed relieved. She thought I'd accepted. The next second, I stuffed the red envelope into the gift box and pushed the box back in front of her. "Keep it for Assistant Lu." Lu Jingyan's face was pale. I spoke into the microphone. "For the past 3 months, he's been keeping you company until late at night. It must have been tough." A suppressed cheer erupted from the audience. Someone blurting out, "My God." Song Wantong snatched the microphone. "Gu Yanchen." I had already turned around. The stage lights behind me were still flashing. And the host stammered, trying to control the situation. As I walked out of the banquet hall, the DJ accidentally played a cheerful drumbeat. My phone vibrated. Su Jilan messaged me, "Video saved. Agreement photos received. Are you sure you want to start tonight?" I stood at the end of the hotel corridor, looking at the city lights through the glass window. I replied, "Start." 5 seconds later, she replied with 2 words, "Received." I put my phone in my pocket and then took off my wedding ring from my left ring finger. The ring gently fell into the trash can. The laughter behind me stopped abruptly. I knew that from this moment on, Xingtang Technology's real year-end gift had just begun. I didn't go home when I left the hotel. My driver, Lao Chen, was waiting at the door. He paused when he saw me come out alone. "Mr. Gu, where is Chairman Song?" I opened the car door. "Don't wait for her." Lao Chen glanced at me in the rearview mirror and didn't dare to ask again. As the car drove out of the hotel, the lights in the banquet hall upstairs were still on. My phone kept vibrating. Song Wantong called 3 times. I didn't answer. The 4th call was from her mother, Lin Huiyun. I answered. The moment the call connected, Lin Huiyun's voice came through. "Gu Yanchen. What were you thinking tonight? Wan Tang gave you a way out. But you refused and humiliated her in front of everyone." I stared out the window. "Aunt. What she gave me wasn't a way out. It was a divorce agreement for me to leave." Lin Huiyun sneered. "So what if it's an agreement? Couples argue too. Signing a document is just to scare you. Do you really think you're that important?" I said nothing. She kept berating me. "Do you think you could be where you are today without Wan Tang? Without her? Could your skills have developed into a listed company? You're just a coder. Who would even know you?" I held the phone. My tone calm. "So, tonight you want me to realize my place. You should have known long ago." Lin Huiyun lowered her voice. "Wan Tang is now the chairman's wife, managing a listed company. So what if she has a young assistant? That Lu Jingyan is eloquent, capable, and accompanies her to various events. And you always have that sour face. Like the whole world owes you something." I smiled. "Fine then." "Fine what?" "After the divorce, she won't have to see my sour face anymore." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Lin Huiyun seemed to finally realize something was wrong. "Gu Yanchen. Don't threaten us with divorce. You signed the agreement. Don't come crying to me." "I won't anymore." I hung up the phone. Silence filled the car. Old Chen calmly said, "Mr. Gu, would you like me to take you back to the Cloud Top Apartments?" The Cloud Top Apartments were Song Wantong and my marital home. And the deed was only in her name. At the time, she said the company had just gone public. And joint property was too sensitive. It was safer for the house to be in her name. I didn't object then, thinking that marriage wasn't about nitpicking over everything. Later, I realized that those who don't nitpick often end up being drained. I said, "Let's go to that old house on Guanlan Road." Old Chen paused for a moment. "Hasn't that place been empty for several years?" "I'll stay there tonight." The car turned around. And I opened my laptop and connected to the car's hotspot. The first email was sent to the company's board secretary. I, Gu Yanchen, hereby resign from my position as chief architect of Xingtang Technology. Effective immediately. According to Article 7 of the Core Algorithm Personal Patent License Agreement signed 3 years ago, if the company faces significant governance risks, damage to my personal reputation, or bankruptcy, I have the right to suspend the license without further notice. The second email was sent to Su Jilan, requesting the initiation of a compliance memorandum to compile all project permissions, customer data access, and contract modification records of Lu Jingyan since he joined the company. The third email was sent to Mr. Qin of Galaxy Capital, regarding Xingtang Technology's next quarterly delivery version. I needed to clarify a major change. The core algorithm's licensing status would be entering the review period. After sending these 3 emails, I shut down my computer. Old Chen parked his car downstairs in an old residential building. It was a small 70 square meter apartment, which I rented after graduating from university. Later, in the early stages of my startup, Song Wantong also came here. At that time, she wasn't Chairman Song yet. She was wearing a white shirt, sitting on the floor eating a cold bun, her eyes sparkling. She said, "Gu Yanchen, when Xingtang takes off, we must buy a big house with a river view." I asked her, "What should we name the company?" She thought for a while and then said, "Xingtang. Your Xingtang. My Tang Tang." At the time, I thought the name was tacky, but I still nodded. Later, the company was indeed called Xingtang, but she gradually forgot that the name Xing once belonged to me. I dragged my luggage upstairs. The apartment was covered in dust. I turned on the switch, and the light bulb flickered twice before turning on. The living room was empty, but I suddenly felt much more comfortable here than at the cloud top apartment. Because no one was pretending. I had just hung up my coat when the doorbell rang. I went to open the door, and Su Jilan stood there, holding a file folder. She was wearing a black coat, her hair neatly tied back. "I hope I haven't bothered you." "No." She walked in and looked around the room. "Are you really moving back?" "Temporarily." She placed the file folder on the table. It contained the annual meeting video, photos of agreements, and backups of the live stream, all of it. There was also a record of Lu Jingyan's access to project data over the past 3 months, which she had already had the IT department export from the back end. I opened the file folder. On top was an access log. Lu Jingyan had actually accessed the client parameters of the Galaxy second-generation risk control model. He wasn't a technical person. This kind of operation shouldn't have happened at all. I asked, "Who approved the access?" Su Jilan said, "Song Wantong." I wasn't surprised at all. She pulled out another document. "There's one more thing. Last week, Lu Jingyan altered the signature on a client test report, deleting your name and replacing it with his." I flipped to the last page. The signature read, "Lu Jingyan, Special Assistant to the Chairman." I smiled faintly. "He's bolder than I imagined." Su Jilan looked at me. "It's not that he's bold, but that he feels someone is supporting him behind the scenes." I closed the document, then let those who support him step forward. She warned me, "Gu Yanchen, once you suspend authorization, the company's stock price will definitely react. Song Wantong will say you're retaliating." I looked up. "I haven't done anything illegal. I'm just following the contract. If she dares to submit the divorce agreement to the annual meeting, she should know that losing face is a major risk to corporate governance." Su Jilan was silent for a moment. "You've finally stopped covering for her." I didn't answer. Just then, my phone rang again. This time it was Song Wantong calling. I answered. Her voice was icy. "Gu Yanchen. What do you mean by those emails?" I said. "Just what they said in the emails. I'm resigning. And my authorization is suspended." "Are you crazy?" "No." She suppressed her anger. "What happened tonight was an impulsive act. But you didn't need to drag work into it." I laughed. "Chairwoman Song. When you handed me the divorce agreement as your year-end bonus at the annual meeting. You already dragged work and marriage into it. She paused. Then gasped, now come back. Let's talk. What? The agreement can be modified. The compensation amount can be increased. I checked the authorization log in the form, Song Wantong. Do you still think I left for the money? There was silence on the other end of the phone. I said. Tomorrow morning at 9. In the legal conference room. No feelings. Just a handover. Then I hung up. Su Jilan looked at me, she'll bring Lu Jingyan. The timing is perfect. I got the client report with the altered signature. Some year-end bonuses need to be opened in person. The next morning at 8:50. I arrived at the Xingtang Technology Building. A large group of employees had already gathered at the entrance. Some lowered their heads immediately upon seeing me, pretending to browse their phones. Others had complicated expressions. A few whispered. Director Gu really came. Is he here to reconcile after last night's farce? I heard Chairman Song has been furious since this morning. And Assistant Lu came too. I didn't stop as I swiped my card to enter. The rotating gate beeped, indicating I had passed. I checked the access level on the screen. It hadn't been revoked yet, meaning Song Wantong hadn't noticed. She was used to solving problems with emotions, always forgetting that systems have time lags. I stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the 23rd floor. Just as the doors were about to close, a hand reached in. Lu Jingyan walked in. He was wearing a dark gray suit today, and his hair was neatly combed. He saw me and a cold smile appeared on his lips. Director Gu didn't sleep well last night. I ignored him. He stood beside me, adjusting his cufflinks in front of the mirror. Actually, Chairman Song is very kind-hearted. If you just humble yourself a little, she won't make things too difficult for you. I watched the numbers in the elevator steadily rise. Since you're so good at speaking up for her, why don't you just sign it for her too? His smile vanished. President Gu. A man has to learn to admit defeat. I turned to look at him. What exactly did you win? His eyes flickered. I said. 3 months as an assistant. Or a 200,000 yuan bonus at the annual meeting. He gritted his teeth. The elevator dinged. And the doors opened outside the conference room. Several executives had already arrived. Song Wantong sat at the head of the table. She had changed into a black suit. Her makeup even more aloof than last night. On the table lay the divorce agreement I had signed. Her first words to me were, Gu Yanchen. Retract your resignation email. I pulled up a chair and sat down. No. She stared at me. Do you know what you're doing? The Xinghe project is due to be handed over to Mr. Qin next week. Are you trying to ruin the company by resigning now? I said. I'm just handing over the work ahead of schedule as agreed. Employment contract. She sneered. Employment contract. Gu Yanchen. You're talking to me about an employment contract. I nodded. Yes. Since you defined me last night as an employee who could be rewarded with a divorce settlement. Let's talk as employee and employer. The conference room fell silent. Lu Jingyan, sitting to Song Wantong's right, cleared his throat. President Gu. The company is at a critical juncture right now. Your sudden resignation is indeed very irresponsible. I turned on my laptop and projected the screen. The first slide was Lu Jingyan's access history. The moment the conference room screen lit up, his expression changed. I said, Assistant Lu, you're not a technician. Why did you access the client parameters of the Xinghe second-generation risk control model at 1:27 a.m. on December 3rd? Everyone looked at him. Lu Jingyan immediately said, Chairman Song asked me to help organize the data. I switched to the second slide. On December 5th. You accessed the original test report again. On December 6th. The report's author was changed from Gu Yanchen to Lu Jingyan. Did Chairman Song also ask you to change that? Song Wantong's face darkened. Gu Yanchen. Now is not the time to dwell on these trivial matters. I looked at her. Trivial matters. I opened the third file. An email from Galaxy Capital. The email clearly stated, Gu Yanchen. The core algorithm lead. Must attend the subsequent technical Group A meeting. I asked Song Wantong. The client clearly specified that I attend the Group A meeting. So why is Lu Jingyan on the final attendee list? She didn't answer. Lu Jingyan panicked. President Gu. Don't complicate normal work arrangements like this. Chairman Song thinks you're not good at socializing. So she sent me. I looked at him. Socializing. Do you need to remove my name? He choked up. I continued switching slides. The fourth slide was an early board memorandum from 3 years ago. Shortly before the company's IPO. Gu Yanchen. Authorized the use of the Galaxy Risk Control Model. Xingtang Technologies authorization scope clearly stipulates, use is limited to the company under the premise of maintaining Gu Yanchen's copyright, technical decision-making rights, and reputation integrity. Su Jilan, sitting nearby, said calmly, according to Article 7 of the agreement, if the company modifies or transfers core parameters without authorization, the author has the right to suspend the authorization and request a review. Song Wantong abruptly turned to look at her. Su Jilan. Whose side are you on? Su Jilan raised her head. I'm on the side of compliance. The atmosphere in the conference room instantly froze. Song Wantong's face darkened. Gu Yanchen. What exactly do you want? I said, first, accept my resignation. Second, initiate the authorization review for the Galaxy second generation project. Third, conduct an audit investigation into Lu Jingyan's unauthorized access to data and alteration of author identities. Fourth, the divorce property must be handled separately. Lu Jingyan hurriedly said, Director Gu. This is a private revenge under the guise of official business. I looked at him. Do you think I'm worth using official business to retaliate against you? His face flushed red. Song Wantong slammed her hand on the table. Enough. She stood up. Her eyes burning with anger. Gu Yanchen. Don't forget the company is now owned by the Song family. Do you think a few old agreements can threaten me? I closed my laptop. The company's surname is not important. I shoved a note in her face. Project permissions were frozen at 10 a.m. today. All updates involving the Galaxy model require my written confirmation. Song Wantong's pupils constricted. You dare. I glanced at my watch. 9:58. 2 minutes left in the meeting room. Someone subconsciously checked the time in the upper right corner of the screen. Lu Jingyan immediately pulled out his phone and frantically sent messages. I didn't stop him. 9:59. Song Wantong stared at me intently. Gu Yanchen. If you stop now, I'll pretend nothing happened. I said. You could have stopped when I signed last night. 10 a.m. sharp. The company's internal system issued a red alert. The Galaxy Core model's authorization status was under review. Related modules had been suspended from external delivery. The meeting room fell silent. The next second, Song Wantong's phone rang. She answered. Her face gradually turning pale. Mr. Chin's voice came through. Chairwoman Song. Why weren't we informed beforehand that your core authorization status had changed? Song Wantong glanced at me. I calmly stuffed the resignation handover list into her pocket. Chairwoman Song. It's your turn to sign. Song Wantong didn't sign. She pushed the list back and said in a low voice. Gu Yanchen. You can leave now. I remained seated. This is a handover meeting. She turned to the other executives and said. You all leave. Several executives immediately stood up. Lu Jingyan also wanted to leave. I said. Assistant Lu. Stay. He stopped in his tracks. Frozen in place. Song Wantong frowned. What else do you want? I said. He's the temporary project manager. Right. Lu Jingyan's face froze. At yesterday's annual shareholders meeting, he stood next to Song Wantong like a trophy being displayed by a new master. Sitting here today, he realized this wasn't a reward. It had been a goal. The meeting room door closed. Only the four of us remained, me, Song Wantong, Lu Jingyan, and Su Jilan. Song Wantong asked coldly. Gu Yanchen. Did you prepare all of this beforehand? Yes. Her eyes flickered. This probably wasn't the answer she wanted. She wanted me to explain. Wanted me to say. Last night was an impulsive act. Wanted me to admit I still cared about her. But I didn't. I pulled a USB drive from my bag. I'd been prepared ever since Lu Jingyan first unauthorizedly accessed the files. Lu Jingyan jumped up and said. You've been spying on me. I looked at him and said. The company's backend has access logs. But it doesn't monitor access. He gritted his teeth and said. You let me in on purpose. I didn't let you in. I pointed at Song Wantong and said. She agreed. Song Wantong's face darkened even more. I opened the first audio file on the USB drive. This recording was made 3 weeks ago outside the CEO's office. Lu Jingyan's voice came through. Sister Wantong. Does Director Gu dislike me? I always feel like he looks down on me. Song Wantong said. Don't pay attention to him. He's always been like this. Technical background. Stubborn temper. Lu Jingyan chuckled lightly. But if the Xinghe project is always associated with his name, outsiders will think the company can't do without him. You're the one in charge. Song Wantong paused. Then continued. Next time you prepare external materials, move his name to the back. The recording abruptly stopped. Song Wantong's face paled slightly. Lu Jingyan panicked. Director Gu. The recording isn't finished yet. You've taken it out of context. I opened the second recording. This time it was a recording from the lounge. It was Lu Jingyan and the marketing manager's voices. Chairman Song said that from now on, I will be the sole external contact for the Xinghe project. What about Director Gu? He'll leave. Sooner or later. Chairman Song has long been fed up with him. The marketing manager asked with a smile. What's your relationship with Chairman Song? Lu Jingyan said softly. Don't talk nonsense. She's not divorced yet. The recording ended. And the atmosphere in the conference room seemed to freeze. Song Wantong suddenly turned to look at Lu Jingyan. You said this to someone else. Lu Jingyan panicked. Wantong. I didn't. I was just joking. I looked at Song Wantong. Look. He knows you're not divorced yet. Her fingertips were trembling last night. She handed me the divorce agreement like an annual bonus, saying it was to maintain her dignity. But it wasn't for dignity. She just wanted to show Lu Jingyan's status. A signal that he could climb over me to get ahead. I continued to open the third file. This was an email Lu Jingyan sent to an external consulting firm. He had screenshotted some parameters of the Star River model and sent it. Lu Jingyan's face instantly turned pale. That was just consulting. Not a leak. Su Jilan picked up the file, glanced at it, and said calmly, the screenshot contains client test data and internal parameters. According to the company's confidentiality policy, this is a serious violation. Song Wantong closed her eyes. Jingyan. Why did you do this? Lu Jingyan immediately seized her gentle tone. Wantong. I wanted to help you. I don't understand this kind of technology. So I asked others. I was worried that Director Gu was deliberately withholding you. I was afraid he would hold us back. I almost laughed out loud. Even now. He still cloaked himself in a veneer of loyalty. Song Wantong hesitated for a moment. As expected. She looked at me. Gu Yanchen. This matter can be handled internally. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. I stared at her. So. You're still protecting him. Her face stiffened. I'm not covering for him. I'm protecting the company. Protecting the company. I pushed another file across the table. Then what about humiliating the core authorized person in front of the whole company last night? Was that also protecting the company? Her lips moved. But she couldn't say a word. I stood up. Song Wantong. You still don't understand. The real danger to Xingtang technology isn't my resignation. I pointed at Lu Jingyan. For someone you know nothing about. You trampled on the company's rules and regulations. Project authority. And even sacrificed the bottom line of your marriage. Lu Jingyan couldn't help but shout, Gu Yanchen. Don't put on that superior act. You're just jealous. Aren't you? You're afraid Chairman Song no longer needs you. I turned to look at him, scared. I opened the last page on my computer. It was an email Galaxy Capital had sent me 2 months ago. It contained only one sentence. If Mr. Gu Yanchen leaves Xingtang Technology, Galaxy Capital will reassess all cooperation risks. I turned the screen to Lu Jingyan. Ask President Qin who he needs. You or me. Lu Jingyan looked like he'd been choked. Song Wantong finally couldn't sit still. Why didn't you tell me about this email? I said, I did tell you. She froze. I looked at her. 2 months ago. At the Cloud Top apartment. You spoke with Lu Jingyan on the phone. I said Galaxy Capital wanted me to continue as the technical director. You said. I paused. Her face gradually paled. I finished for her. You said not to use technology to pressure me anymore. I am the chairman's wife. A deathly silence fell over the conference room. Su Jilan lowered her eyes, remaining silent. Song Wantong stared at me, as if realizing for the first time that I wasn't furniture she could move around at will. I tidied up my computer. The first review notice has been issued. Xinghe Capital will send someone over at 2 p.m. Song Wantong suddenly stood up. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I grabbed my coat. You didn't tell me sooner when you sent the divorce papers last night either. I walked towards the door. Behind me, Lu Jingyan asked anxiously, what about me? I turned to look at him. Aren't you the project manager? I pushed open the door. A group of employees stood outside, pretending to walk by. I didn't look at them. I only heard Song Wantong's first stern reprimand of Lu Jingyan in the conference room. Hand over all the materials you sent out. Not a single one is missing. Lu Jingyan's voice trembled. Sister Wantong. He called out. It was now 2 p.m. and the people from Xinghe Capital had arrived. President Qin personally led the team. He was in his 50s. A steady and always polite man. But today, he skipped the small talk as soon as he entered the conference room. Chairman Song. Let's look at the authorization review materials first. Song Wantong gave a professional smile. President Qin. There's a misunderstanding here. I have some personal grudges with Director Gu. The project itself is fine. President Qin glanced at me. Engineer Gu. It's your turn. He called me Engineer Gu. Not Director Gu. This title dates back to the early days of the company. At that time, the company only had 8 people. And the clients didn't trust us. However, President Qin was willing to give us a trial run. I personally ran the risk control model with them for 3 consecutive nights. After the first acceptance test passed, President Qin patted my shoulder and said, Engineer Gu. Your system is really ruthless. I sat at the other end of the conference table and opened the documents. The project itself can be delivered. But there are 3 risks. First, the core authorization status needs to be reviewed. Second, the project ownership has been altered. Third, non-technical personnel improperly accessed customer parameters. President Qin's face darkened. Song Wantong immediately said, we've already dealt with the third point internally. This won't affect delivery. President Qin turned to Su Jilan. Attorney Su. Do you have any compliance opinions? Su Jilan opened the document. The contract stipulates that if the core technical personnel of the supplier changes, the customer must be notified 15 working days in advance. Xingtang Technology did not notify me. Song Wantong's face tightened. Gu Yanchen hasn't officially resigned yet. This morning at 10 o'clock, the authorization entered the review period. President Qin looked at Song Wantong and said, Chairman Song. This is no small matter. Lu Jingyan sat in the corner, head down, almost unable to breathe. But the trouble wouldn't pass just because he lowered his head. The technical consultant next to President Qin opened his laptop. We received an external consulting report from Xinghe Engineering, which contains some internal parameters. Did your company send this? After saying that, he projected the screenshot onto the screen. I saw Lu Jingyan's expression change drastically. Song Wantong was also stunned. She probably never dreamed that what Lu Jingyan sent would fall into the hands of a client again. President Qin's voice lowered. This consulting report was forwarded to me by our partner. They asked Xingtang Technology whether they had submitted our test parameters to a third party for evaluation. The atmosphere in the conference room suddenly became tense. Song Wantong looked sharply at Lu Jingyan. Who did you send it to? Lu Jingyan stammered. I sent it to a friend. He said he could help me look at the technical issues. I'm worried that Director Gu is deliberately holding us back. President Chen sneered. Your friend is now using our client's parameters to do paid consulting outside. Lu Jingyan suddenly stood up. I don't know. I really don't know. Song Wantong's fingers clenched tightly. She wanted to cover for him, but couldn't find the right words. I opened another document. President Qin. I found this in the back end. It's the record after the annual meeting last night. I had the legal department keep it as evidence. President Qin nodded. Engineer Gu. I believe you. These words carried more weight than the 10 pieces of evidence I presented. Because everyone in the room heard them. President Qin trusted me. Not Xingtang. Song Wantong's face turned deathly pale. She forced herself to say, President Qin. We can immediately change the project contact person to ensure data security. President Qin asked. Who? Song Wantong looked at me. Her eyes held a plea she herself didn't want to admit. I didn't respond. Continuing to organize the documents. She had to speak. Gu Yanchen will continue to be in charge. I raised my head. I've already resigned. Silence fell in the room again. Song Wantong lowered her voice and said, Gu Yanchen. Now is not the time to lose your temper. I said. I'm not losing my temper. You can reassign Assistant Lu. Lu Jingyan abruptly raised his head. President Qin also glanced at him. His eyes icy. Chairman Song. If your company insists on having Mr. Lu handle this matter, we will activate the suspension clause. Lu Jingyan's face fell completely. Song Wantong then realized that the person she had supported last night had become the biggest landmine today. Before the meeting ended, President Qin said, Xingtang Technology must submit a rectification plan within 48 hours. Otherwise, we will suspend the next phase of payments. With that, he led his team out. After the door closed, Song Wantong slammed the documents heavily on the table. Lu Jingyan. What are you hiding from me? Lu Jingyan's eyes were red. Sister Wantong. I did this for you. I wanted to prove that even without Gu Yanchen, you could do this project well. Song Wantong's chest heaved violently. So, you leaked the customer parameters. I didn't leak them. I just. Before she could finish speaking, Su Jilan's phone rang. She answered the phone, listened for a few seconds, and her expression changed slightly. After hanging up, she looked at Song Wantong. I just discovered that Lu Jingyan also sent an unpublished quarterly performance forecast to an external email address. Now, Song Wantong almost lost her balance. Gripping the edge of the table tightly. What? Su Jilan handed her the phone. The email wasn't in his name. It's from his friend's company's business email. Lu Jingyan staggered back a step. I didn't. This must be a misunderstanding. I looked at him. Last night you said a man should know how to bear losses. His face flushed red. Song Wantong turned to me. Her eyes showing no anger for the first time. Only panic. Yanchen. Can you help me appease President Qin? I picked up my bag. President Song. I'm no longer an employee of Xingtang. She trembled as if punched. We're not divorced yet. I looked at her. You sent me the divorce papers last night. I walked towards the door. Behind me, Song Wantong's voice became sharp. Gu Yanchen. Do you really want to see me lose? I stopped. No. I turned around. I want you to know that I'm not your year-end bonus that you use and then throw away. That evening, Xingtang Technology's internal chat room exploded. First, news spread that the Xinghe project's review had been suspended. Then, Lu Jingyan was taken away for questioning by the information department. And finally, someone posted a video of the annual meeting on an anonymous forum. In the video, Song Wantong, wearing a white dress, smiled and handed me a divorce agreement. Lu Jingyan stood beside her, his expression gentle yet smug. The moment I signed, the entire room fell silent. The video title was eye-catching. Female chairman of listed company publicly hands divorce agreement to her anonymous husband at annual meeting. Male assistant smiles throughout. The comments section instantly erupted. Some called it high society gossip. Others workplace bullying. And still others dug up that I was the original inventor of Xinghe's core model. At 10 p.m. that night, someone posted on Xingtang Technology's investor interaction platform asking, has the company's core technology leader, Gu Yanchen, resigned? Is there significant uncertainty regarding the approval of the Xinghe project? Is the annual meeting video real? Are there management problems within the company? Song Wantong called me more than 20 times. But I didn't answer a single one. At 11 a.m., she appeared at the door of the old house. The doorbell ringing urgently. I opened the door. And she stood there. Her hair slightly disheveled. Her coat open. This was Song Wantong I hadn't seen in a long time. She was no longer calm and collected. Her first words upon entering were, "Did you leak the video?" I looked at her. No. She stared at me, clearly not believing me. I stepped aside. Come in and let's talk. She entered the house, saw the old sofa in the living room, and stopped. Of course she had been here before. She remembered. But it had been too long since her last visit. She stood in the middle of the living room, her tone softening slightly. Yanchen. Can we end all this? I placed a glass of water on the table. Do you think this is a game? She closed it. I admit I went too far last night. But you know. In that situation. I was provoked by Jingyan. I laughed. He provoked you. And you handed me a divorce agreement. Her voice lowered. He's been in a bad state lately. He feels wronged because people are talking about him behind his back because he's with me. I glanced at her. So. You've made me the victim. Her face paled. I continued. Song Wantong. 3 years ago. You said our marriage was kept secret to protect the company. And I agreed. 2 years ago. You said we shouldn't make our relationship public to avoid investors thinking the company was too much like a family business. And I agreed. A year ago. You said project results should be announced first under the company's name. And I agreed again. I pointed to the door. But yesterday. To make a male assistant feel better. You shoved and shoved me in front of over 300 people. Humiliating me. Her eyes reddened. I didn't mean to embarrass you like that. Then. Just how far did you intend to humiliate me? She couldn't answer. I opened the tablet on the table. The screen displayed my organized document directory. There were 7 folders in total: annual meeting video, divorce agreement, project authorization change records, Lu Jingyan's authorization log, external email transmission records, client acceptance emails, and Song Wantong's approval records. When she saw the last item, her expression changed. You even kept my approval record. The system automatically records everything. Why didn't you remind me beforehand? I glanced at her. I did. She bit her lip. I told you. But you didn't listen. You said I was jealous. That I lacked foresight. That I didn't understand the pressure you were under in the spotlight. Song Wantong's eyes grew redder. I was so tired back then. I know you were tired. My voice was calm. That's why I tolerated her for 3 years. She looked up at me. I continued. I handled the client's technical issues. I dealt with the system alarms in the middle of the night. I wrote the materials when investors questioned the technical obstacles. I tolerated your mother's disdain for me. I didn't confront you directly when you publicly said I was just a long-time employee. I turned off the tablet. But I tolerated all of this not so you could use my patience as an excuse to betray me. Song Wantong's tears finally welled up. Yanchen. Jingyan and I haven't reached that point. I smiled. And she quickly said. Really? No. I admit I like him and admire me. I admit I let him get close to me. That was my fault. But I've never truly betrayed our marriage. I looked at her. Do you think lying in bed is betrayal? She froze. I stood up and took a photo from the drawer. The photo was taken in the hotel's underground parking lot. Lu Jingyan's hand was on her waist. She leaned on his shoulder. That night she told me she was entertaining clients. She saw the photo. Her face turning deathly pale. You had someone follow me. I said. Old Chen took it. That night he drove you to the hotel and waited until dawn. You didn't get in the car. Lu Jingyan took you back to his apartment. She hurriedly explained. I was drunk and don't remember anything. I didn't ask him what happened. I put the photo back on the table, because it doesn't matter anymore. Her tears flowed even faster. How can it not matter? We've been married for 3 years. You can't just throw it away like that. I looked at her. You were the one who said you'd throw it away last night. She suddenly grabbed my hand. Yanchen. Help me this time. Before the market opens tomorrow. Issue a statement saying you haven't resigned and that the authorization is fine. We'll stabilize the stock price first. And then I'll listen to whatever you say. I looked down at her hand gripping mine tightly. These hands had once touched my shoulders. She lived in a rented apartment and had once handed me divorce papers at the company's annual meeting. I slowly pulled my hand back. I can issue a statement. A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. I continued. But the content must be true. She froze. I picked up my phone and opened the draft I had sent to Su Jailan earlier. The statement was brief. Gu Yanchen confirms that he has submitted his resignation due to internal issues, including signature tampering, breach of authorization, and significant compliance risks. The core algorithm authorization has entered the review process. I will protect my personal rights in accordance with the law and cooperate with the client to complete the necessary security handover. After reading it, Song Wantong swayed. You're trying to destroy Xingtang. I said. I'm not destroying you. I looked at her. Last night you pushed it into the limelight. She fell completely silent. At midnight, I released the statement. 10 minutes later, Xingtang Technology's name appeared on the trending search list. 30 minutes later, the trading forum was in an uproar. Before dawn, Su Jilan sent a message, "The exchange's inquiry letter has arrived." I replied with one word, "Okay." Then I put down my phone. Song Wantong was still standing at the door, pale-faced. She finally understood that I wasn't throwing a tantrum. I was reclaiming my right to speak. The next day, Xingtang Technology's stock price fell by 8% at the opening. 10 minutes later, the drop widened to 12%. Financial media began rolling out news. Xingtang Technology's core algorithm licensing is under review. Xinghe project may be affected. Concealing marital scandal raises questions about corporate governance. Chairman's special assistant suspected of violating authorization regulations. Xingtang Technology responds that the investigation is still ongoing. Song Wantong finally took action. At 10 a.m., the company issued a statement. The statement said that Gu Yanchen was just an ordinary technical manager in the company, and his departure would not affect the company's operations. The statement also stated that the core algorithm belongs to the company and there is no risk of personal authorization. The last sentence was the strongest. The company reserves the right to take legal action against individuals who spread false information out of personal emotion. After reading the statement, I laughed. Su Jilan called me. She bypassed legal procedures to release that statement. I said I think some board members will support her. Director Zhao said that we must first stabilize the stock price and not let you continue to expand this influence. Director Zhao supports her because he signed the performance contract. Before cashing out last year, he was worried that something bad would happen. Su Jilan paused. You know about this too? I did a risk assessment for him. I opened my laptop. There were 3 draft lawyers' letters in my inbox. First, a letter to Xingtang Technology demanding a correction to their statement. Second, regarding the exchange, requesting supplementary disclosure of the authorization agreement. The third document was for Xinghe Capital, formally confirming the scope of the authorized review. I didn't rush to send them out because Song Wantong's counterattack wasn't over yet. Sure enough, half an hour later, Lu Jingyan posted a message on his social media. The photo showed him working overtime in the office. The title was full of dissatisfaction. Some people are used to standing on their own honor to criticize others. But they can't see those who are truly working hard for the company. The innocent don't need a defense. This post was screenshotted and shared in a group. Soon, a series of posts appeared online. Stirring up people's emotions. Was Gu Yanchen kept for many years? And then threw a tantrum after the divorce. A tech professional threatened a listed company after leaving the company. Isn't that workplace stalking? Song Wantong, a woman who single-handedly supported the company, was betrayed by her hidden husband. So tragic. I browsed those posts. But I wasn't angry. Song Wantong understood public opinion. She knew that in marital conflicts, men were easily labeled as narrow-minded, vengeful, or controlling. She wanted me to be portrayed as the one disrupting the company's stability, not the victim. At 1 p.m., I received a call from my mother-in-law. Lin Huiyun, Gu Yanchen. Immediately withdraw that statement. I said, no, don't pressure Wan Tang. She's had enough these past years. You're a man. Why are you being so nitpicky? I leaned back in my chair. She sent me divorce papers. That's her tough side. I'm just protecting my legal rights. Is that making a mountain out of a molehill? Lin Huiyun said sharply. Don't give me that. You're just jealous that Wan Tang has Jing Yan by her side. Aren't you? Men need to have some manners. I laughed. Do you like classes? Then I'll give you a wonderful one. She didn't understand. Hung up. And sent the first lawyer's letter. Meanwhile, Su Jilan submitted the original scanned copy of the core licensing agreement from 3 years ago to the regulatory inquiry system according to procedure. At 2 p.m., Xingtang Technology's bulletin board was marked as needing further explanation. The online public opinion began to shift. Someone posted a key page of the licensing agreement. He's not an ordinary employee. The core technology licensor is Gu Yanchen himself. The announcement says the algorithm belongs to the company. Isn't that misleading investors? In the annual meeting video, she forced him to sign an agreement relinquishing intellectual property rights. She was practically trying to swallow his hard-earned money. Assistant Lu has only been with the company for 3 months. How can he claim to be truly working for the company? Song Wantong's second call came. This time, her voice was almost filled with barely suppressed anger. Gu Yanchen. Are you trying to force the company to stop trading? I said. I'm just asking you to correct a false announcement. That announcement was used to stabilize the market with lies. She gritted her teeth. You've never treated me like this before. I said. You've never handed me the divorce papers like it was an award ceremony before. She gasped for breath. I continued. Song Wantong. Stop using the past as a shield. The past is what I gave you, not an excuse for you to renege. She remained silent for a long time. Finally, she asked in a low voice. How do you want to stop all this? I stared at the real-time stock price. Xingtang Technology's stock price had once plummeted by 18%. Public apology. Correction announcement. Suspension of Lu Jingyan's position. Initiation of an independent audit. And acknowledging the risks of the Xinghe model authorization. She almost immediately refused. Impossible. I said. Then let's move on. The call ended at 3 p.m. The market closed. That evening, Xingtang Technology's stock price fell by 19.6%, almost triggering a trading halt. The company held an emergency board meeting. I wasn't eligible to attend. But Su Jilan went. She texted me. Song Wantong is blaming you. Director Zhao proposed suing you to force you to reinstate your license. I replied. Let them try. 10 minutes later, she sent another message. Lu Jingyan cried at the board meeting, saying he just wanted to help Song Wantong prove himself. I read that and laughed. People who like to cry are always more likely to gain sympathy than those who do things. But tears can't fix the authorization log. Nor can they change the stock price. At 9 p.m., the board meeting ended. Song Wantong sent me a voice message. I opened it. Her voice was hoarse. Gu Yanchen. You won the first round. But don't forget you're still in the company. If you really want to destroy everything, you'll lose too. After listening, I forwarded it to my lawyer. Then I opened the safe. Inside was an agreement to terminate an early equity proxy agreement. At the time, to facilitate financing, I entrusted some shares to Song Wantong. She thought this was her last bargaining chip against me. But she didn't know that the termination agreement included a clause. If the marital relationship breaks down and the agent is at fault, the principal has the right to demand the immediate return of all shares and corresponding proceeds. I took a picture of the agreement and sent it to Su Jilan. Tomorrow, the second round. On the morning of the third day, Song Wantong held a press conference. She sat calmly in front of the camera, dressed in a dark blue suit, her makeup impeccable, and her voice steady. I sincerely apologize for the recent discussions about my personal marriage and company governance that have consumed public resources. She apologized first, but quickly changed the subject. Mr. Gu Yanchen was a core member of Xingtang Technology, and we respect his contributions. But the company's current scale is due to the team, not any one individual. I was watching the live stream from my office at the time. After she finished speaking, the camera switched to Lu Jingyan. He sat to the side, his eyes slightly red, as if he had suffered a great injustice. The reporter asked, Did Mr. Lu illegally obtain project data? Song Wantong replied, The relevant matters are still under investigation. But as far as I know, Mr. Lu's intention was to advance the project. The moment she said that, I knew she was beyond redemption. Even at this point, she still wanted to protect him. The reporter then asked, Did Mr. Gu Yanchen have authorization for the core algorithm? Song Wantong paused. The company will handle this matter according to the law. She didn't deny it. Because the regulatory agency's investigation preceded hers. She didn't dare to lie completely, but still tried to blur the lines. I turned off the live stream and called my lawyer. I sent it over. At 10 a.m., the lawyer's letter was made public. Although brief, the scene was intense. First, it demanded that Song Wantong return the shares he held on his behalf. Second, it demanded that Xingtang Technology correct its erroneous description of Gu Yanchen's contributions. Third, it demanded that Lu Jingyan cease using any credit or materials related to the Xinghe project. Fourth, It reserved the right to pursue Song Wantong and Lu Jingyan for joint infringement of copyright, reputation rights, and trade secret management responsibilities. The lawyer's letter was accompanied by two important documents. One was the equity agreement, and the other was a confirmation letter signed by Song Wantong 3 years ago. The confirmation letter stated, Gu Yanchen is the co-founder of Xingtang Technology, possessing corresponding economic rights to the technology. Song Wantong only holds a portion of the shares on his behalf. The internet exploded. He was originally just an ordinary technical manager. But it turned out he was a co-founder. Was Song Wantong's statement a lie? Distributing a divorce agreement at the annual shareholders' meeting. Demanding he relinquish intellectual property and assets. This was too ugly. What right did Assistant Lu have to sit at the press conference? In the afternoon, Xingtang Technology's stock price continued to fall, hitting the daily limit down during trading. Song Wantong finally couldn't sit still any longer. When she came to see me, she didn't bring Lu Jingyan. We met at a private club. When I arrived, she had already been waiting for half an hour. There were 2 cups of coffee on the table. She pushed one towards me. You used to like this. I didn't touch it. Her fingers froze. Yanchen. Let's talk about terms. I sat down. Go ahead. I can return some shares and restore your authorization. I will suspend Lu's position. Jingyan. We'll say this is just a marital dispute. An internal misunderstanding. I glanced at her, returned some shares. She pursed her lips. The company won't completely go bankrupt just because we're divorced. You're also a shareholder. You should understand. I said, I'm willing. A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. I continued. So, I can't let someone who would humiliate marriages at the annual meeting and allow assistants access to client data continue to control core projects. Her face paled. You want me to resign as chairman? I didn't mince words. Yes. She suddenly stood up. Gu Yanchen. You finally told the truth. You just want to seize power. I looked up at her. Song Wantong. You're still playing dumb. Her eyes reddened. How could I not understand? You've been pressuring the company, the board, and the media step by step just to get rid of me. I placed a document on the table. This is the crisis management plan for the Galaxy project. She lowered her head. The document clearly stated that I hadn't asked to be chairman or join the management team. I only requested the company establish a technical compliance committee, strip the chairman of their approval authority over core projects, and require double signatures for all client data access. Song Wantong flipped through the document, her expression slowly changing. She looked up. You don't want to be chairman? No. Then why? Because I don't want you to continue using other people's hard work for personal gain. She was completely speechless. I continued. You can continue being chairman, but you can no longer decide for yourself who gets to intervene in projects, who gets the credit, and who gets sacrificed. She stared at me, then suddenly laughed. It was a bitter laugh. You still want to teach me how to do things. Not to teach you. I stood up. This is to correct the mistakes I made in the past. She was stunned. I said, back then, I gave you too much power, thinking it was trust. Later I realized that boundless trust breeds privilege. Tears welled up in her eyes. What about us? I grabbed my coat. We're finished. She chased after me. I can change. I stopped at the door. 3 years ago. You said the secret marriage was only temporary. And I believed you. 2 years ago. You said it wasn't the right time to go public. And I believed you again. A year ago. You said Lu Jingyan was just an assistant. And I tried to believe you again. I turned around. Song Wantong. I didn't give you time. You just used every minute to prove I was insignificant. Her face turned pale. I turned and left. Just as I stepped out of the club, Su Jilan called. The board had just received an anonymous tip. Lu Jingyan's external email address had not only posted performance forecasts but also received a consulting fee of 200,000 RMB. I stopped. The source was a remittance from his friend's company. The memo read, Project Consulting Fee. I stared at the traffic on the street. 200,000 RMB. Last night at the annual meeting, Song Wantong also gave me 200,000 RMB as compensation. It's ironic. I said. Preserve the evidence. Sujila asked. Should I hand it over directly to him? I glanced at the club entrance. Song Wantong was still standing behind the glass, looking at me through the layers of light. I turned my face away, handed over. On the fifth day, Xingtang Technology was suspended from trading and placed under investigation. After the news was announced, the company's internal group chat fell completely silent. Those who were discussing whether I was retaliating a few days ago were now shut up because the suspension notice listed 3 key points: core technology authorization review, risk of customer data leakage, and the chairman's special assistant receiving external fees. Lu Jingyan was suspended and placed under investigation. The board of directors required Song Wantong to temporarily recuse himself from the decision-making of the Xinghe project. I saw the announcement during a video conference with Chairman Qin. President Qin took a sip of tea, sighed, and said, "Mr. Gu, to be honest, I didn't expect the situation inside Xingtang to be so chaotic." I said, "I'm sorry. This has affected the project. You don't need to apologize." President Qin glanced at me. "We're not suspending you. But Xingtang's management risks have caused a serious blow. That's very clear." After the meeting, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered. It was Lu Jingyan. His voice was hoarse. "Gu Yanchen. Let's meet." I said. "There's no need. Do you really want to push me to the brink of collapse?" I leaned back in my chair. "You illegally accessed documents, tampered with credit records, and charged consulting fees. Which of these things did I force you to do?" He panicked. "Song Wantong made me do it." My eyes turned cold. "Do you have any evidence?" He fell silent. I said, "Don't accuse me without evidence." He suddenly laughed. "Don't you want to see Song Wantong regret it? I can help you. I know her very well." "Like what?" "Like how she planned to kick you out of the core team a long time ago. Like how she and her mother discussed how to ensure you wouldn't get any shares after the divorce. Like the agreement at the annual meeting. Her mother had a lawyer modify it." I didn't interrupt him. I listened. His voice grew more and more panicked. "Let me go. I'll give you all the chat logs." I said. "Send it to my lawyer." He was stunned. "You won't see me." "No. Gu Yanchen. Aren't you afraid I'll ruin everything?" I said. "Now. You won't. You're not even a fish." I hung up the phone. 10 minutes later, my lawyer received a chat log from Lu Jingyan. I opened one of the screenshots. Lin Huiyun said to Song Wantong. At the annual meeting, "You should make him realize his place in public. Men care about face. If he signs on the spot, he can't go back on his word." Song Wantong replied. "Wouldn't that be too ugly? Lin Huiyun, he's dependent on you for support. What can he do? Cause trouble. Besides, Jingyan is watching too. You have to give him a hint." In the next screenshot, Song Wantong said to Lu Jingyan, "After tonight, you won't have to feel uneasy anymore." Lu Jingyan replied. "Sister Wantong, I'm not trying to force you. I'm just afraid I'll never see the light of day again." I stared at those words, feeling no pain as I had expected, only a hollow sense of absurdity. They had turned my marriage into a game of appeasement, my dignity into a gift to Lu Jingyan. I forwarded the screenshots as supplementary evidence to my lawyer. That afternoon, the board held its second emergency meeting. This time, they invited me to attend. I went. It was the same meeting room. But this time Song Wantong wasn't sitting in the head seat. It was Chairman Xiao. She sat to the right, looking terrible. Lu Jingyan wasn't present. The meeting began. Chairman Xiao spoke first. "Mr. Gu, the company is facing a serious crisis. We hope you can consider the bigger picture and reinstate the authorization for the Xinghe model." I looked at him. "Let's talk." Chairman Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. Song Wantong also glanced at me. I laid out my conditions. First, issue a public correction statement acknowledging that I am a co-founder and the licensor of core technologies. Second, return all shares and corresponding profits held in my name. Third, establish an independent technology compliance committee. Fourth, remove Lu Jingyan from his position and transfer him to another post for investigation. Fifth, Song Wantong must publicly apologize to me and clarify the divorce humiliation incident involved in the annual meeting video. Chairman Xiao frowned when he saw the fifth point. "Mr. Gu, A private apology is acceptable. Can it be done behind closed doors? It's inappropriate to amplify this matter at the company level. I looked at him. The annual meeting is a public event of the company. The agreement was signed in the name of year-end bonuses. Therefore, the apology should also be done at the company level. Song Wantong's face turned pale. Chairman Xiao said in a low voice, "This will seriously damage Chairman Song's personal reputation." I said, "Then who considered my reputation last night?" The conference room was silent. Chairman Shen, who had been silent all along, spoke up. "I think Mr. Gu's demands are reasonable. The market's current concerns don't stem from the technology itself. It's about governance. A public apology would certainly help stop the bleeding." Chairman Xiao glared at him. Chairman Shen continued. "Moreover, the evidence that Lu Jingyan collected consulting fees is irrefutable. If we drag this out, all clients will withdraw their investments." Song Wantong gripped her pen tightly. I looked at her. "Chairman Song, what do you think?" Her eyes were red. But she didn't cry. She just stared at me, her voice hoarse, and said, "Gu Yanchen, do you really want me to bow my head in public?" I said, "It's not me making you bow your head." I pointed to the evidence on the conference table and said, "It's the facts that make you bow your head." She smiled. A smile more painful than tears. "Fine." She picked up the pen. "I'll sign." Chairman Xiao's expression changed. "Wantong." Song Wantong didn't look at him. She signed the board resolution and pushed the document in front of me. "Is this enough?" I picked up the document and glanced at it. "This is just the beginning." Her fingers trembled. I said, "There's also the division of marital property." She finally cried, "You can't be serious. Did you leave me any room for maneuver?" I stood up and said, "When you sent me the divorce agreement, you didn't leave me any room for maneuver either." After the meeting, Song Wantong was temporarily suspended by the board of directors and no longer in charge of the Xinghe project. Lu Jingyan was officially transferred to internal audit. Xingtang Technology issued a correction announcement, acknowledging that I was the co-founder of the core technology of the Xinghe model and the personal patent licensor. That night, Song Wantong recorded an apology video. Sitting in her office, pale-faced, she said, at the annual meeting that night, "My handling of my personal marital issues was extremely inappropriate, causing serious harm to Mr. Gu Yanchen. For this, I sincerely apologize." After the video was exposed, public opinion completely reversed. Some said she deserved it. Some said Gu Yanchen had endured for 3 years and finally retaliated. And some asked, what about that male assistant? 2 hours later, more of Lu Jingyan's chat records were exposed. He not only privately collected consulting fees, but also boasted to his friends, "Chairman Song is about to get a divorce. Gu Yanchen is just an old-fashioned technician. No threat." I stared at that sentence and turned off my phone. The words "no threat" felt like a belated medal. Because truly harmless people don't need to be looked down upon. On the 6th day, while sorting through the divorce assets, the lawyer discovered an unusual transfer. 3 years ago, a month before the company's IPO, a private account under Song Wantong's name transferred 5 million to a company controlled by Lin Huiyun. The note read consulting service fee. In the same week, the shares I entrusted to Song Wantong were also confirmed. The timing was too coincidental. I had the lawyer investigate further. By the afternoon, the results were in. Lin Huiyun's company had no actual business operations. After the 5 million arrived, it was divided into 3 transactions. One was used to buy a villa under Song Wantong's mother's name. One was given to the financial advisor at the time. And the third went into the law firm's account. That law firm was the one that drafted the divorce agreement. I stared at the transaction records. And I suddenly understood something. From 3 years ago, Lin Huiyun had been paving the way for Song Wantong. She never intended for me to truly step into the limelight. It wasn't because of the company's image, nor because of investors' concerns, but because both mother and daughter knew that once I publicly revealed my co-founder status, Song Wantong's aura as an independent female chairman would be greatly diminished. I placed the documents on the table. Su Jilan glanced at them, her face darkening. "This is no longer just a divorce dispute." I said. "I know." She asked, "Are you planning to sue directly?" I'll go see Lin Huiyun first. Su Jilan frowned, she won't admit it. I don't expect her to admit it either. That night, Lin Huiyun arranged to meet me at the Song family's old residence. When I arrived, Song Wantong was already there. She sat on the sofa, her eyes red and swollen, clearly having not slept well. Lin Huiyun, however, still maintained an air of superiority. Gu Yanchen, have you caused enough trouble? I sat down, not yet. She sneered, are you feeling smug now? Forcing Wantong to apologize. Forcing the company to suspend trading. Forcing everyone to laugh at the Song family. I said, it was you who pushed me onto the stage at the annual meeting. Letting everyone laugh at me. Lin Huiyun slammed her hand on the table, that's because you can't control your woman. Song Wantong's face changed, Mom. Lin Huiyun glared at her, did I say something wrong? A man lets his wife manage the company. But he pretends to be innocent and pure. And then turns around and accuses her of being unfaithful. I looked at her, are you done? Lin Huiyun snorted. I took out a bank transfer record from my bag, then let's talk about this 5 million. Lin Huiyun's face changed. Song Wantong was also stunned. I put the record on the table, 3 years ago. Before the IPO. Song Wantong transferred 5 million to your company. Your company had no business. No employees. And no service contracts. What was this money used for? Lin Huiyun immediately said, this is a matter between mother and daughter. It has nothing to do with you. I nodded, then what about the money that was later transferred to the financing consultant and then to the law firm? Is that also unrelated to me? Her fingers twitched. Song Wantong picked up the record. Her face gradually turning pale, Mom. What is this? Lin Huiyun didn't look at her, don't listen to his nonsense. I said, I'm not talking nonsense. That law firm drafted a postmarital property risk management plan for you 3 years ago. The plan clearly recommended postponing the public announcement of the marriage, reducing Gu Yanchen's control over the company, and finding ways to incorporate technological achievements into the company's assets. Song Wantong's hands trembled violently, Mom. You hired a lawyer to guard against him 3 years ago. Lin Huiyun gritted her teeth, I hired him for your sake. Song Wantong said, her voice trembling, so. You've been telling me not to make the marriage public. Saying it's for the company's image. Lin Huiyun finally couldn't hold back, of course it's for you. Wantong. Have you ever thought about what your status will be when everyone knows Gu Yanchen is a co-founder? All your achievements will be attributed to a man. Song Wantong felt as if she had been slapped. And said in a low voice, but he did contribute to these achievements. Lin Huiyun was frustrated, you can pay him. But you can't give him a position. Once someone has status, he'll overshadow you. I've been through all of this. I listened quietly. So. This was the truth. It wasn't just Song Wantong who changed, but also the people around her who repeatedly told her that I was a threat, not a partner. And she believed them. For 3 years. She interpreted my retreat as weakness. My silence as controllable. And my love as a resource to be exploited. Song Wantong suddenly looked at me, Yanchen. I didn't know any of this. I looked at her, you don't know about the 5 million. But you know I've been hidden in the shadows all along. Tears welled up in her eyes. I continued, you don't know the lawyer's plan. But you know my name has been repeatedly erased. She opened her mouth. I finally spoke, you don't know what your mother did 3 years ago. But you know that when you handed me the divorce papers last night. Lu Jingyan was smiling. Song Wantong's face turned pale instantly. Lin Huiyun suddenly said, Gu Yanchen. Stop playing the victim. Without the Song family, would your technology still be valuable? Back then, during the fundraising, Wantong was drinking and negotiating with people. Where were you just now? I stood up, I was in the server room. I looked at her, when the server crashed. I was in the server room. When the client model couldn't run. I was in the server room. When investors needed technical verification. I was in the server room. I have never denied that Song Wantong is the face of the company. I have already collected the transfer records. But you can't use her efforts to erase my existence. Lin Huiyun's face turned ashen, what do you want? Reclaim the equity. Reclaim the profits. And rescind all unreasonable divorce clauses. I have suspended the investigation and will continue to investigate the issue of your company's false service fees. She suddenly stood up. How dare you do this? Song Wantong grabbed her. Mom. Don't say. Say it. Lin Huiyun shook her off. You're still speaking up for him. He wanted to destroy the Song family. Song Wantong screamed in despair. We destroyed him first. Silence fell over the living room. This was the first time I'd heard Song Wantong admit this. But it was too late. I turned and walked out. Song Wantong followed me to the door. Yanchen. I stopped. Her voice was soft. If I had revealed your identity back then, wouldn't we be in this mess? I didn't turn around, no. Those two words seemed to nail her to the spot. I said. Because the problem wasn't about whether it was revealed or not. I grabbed the doorknob. It's just that every time you know what's right, you choose what's best for you. I walked out of the Song family home. The night wind blew behind me, chilling me to the bone. Song Wantong's sobs were muffled by the door. I didn't turn back. On the 7th day, Xingtang Technology resumed trading, opening at its daily limit down. This time, no one said I was retaliating, because the company disclosed all the risks in a supplementary filing submitted the previous night. Lu Jingyan was dismissed from his job and handed over to the judicial authorities for investigation. Lin Huiyun's company was subject to tax audit. Song Wantong resigned from her position as head of the Xinghe project, retaining her position as chairman. But the board restricted her from independently approving core projects. As for me, I filed for divorce and submitted an application for the return of property. After receiving the documents, Song Wantong sent me a message. Can we meet one more time? I didn't want to go at first, but my lawyer reminded me that some documents needed to be delivered in person for confirmation. The meeting was scheduled for a coffee shop next to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Outside the window, people were queuing to get married. And people were queuing to get divorced. It was ironic. Compared to a week ago, Song Wantong had lost a lot of weight. She wasn't wearing makeup. And she had dark circles under her eyes. When she saw me, she stood up. You're here. I sat down and pushed the documents in front of her. Please sign for them. She looked at the documents. And her eyes reddened again. Don't you have anything to say to me now? I said, all that's left between us are the problems that need to be solved. She lowered her head and smiled faintly. Last night, I went back to the old house. I looked up. She said, the one on Guanlan Road. I stood downstairs for a long time. I didn't respond. She continued, I remember when we first started our business. You often wrote code until dawn. And I would doze off next to you. At that time, we had nothing. But I felt very grounded. I listened quietly. My fingers motionless. She looked up at me. Yanchen. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know. A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. I continued. But the result is the same. The light in her eyes vanished. I've resigned from Xinghe Engineering and issued a public apology. I will never see Lu Jingyan again. I will handle the matter fairly according to the law. Her voice trembled. Can't we get a divorce? I glanced at her. Outside the window, a young man held a bouquet of flowers. And a girl smiled as she accepted it. Years ago, on the morning Song Wantong and I received our marriage certificate. It was a morning just like this. She wasn't wearing a wedding dress for the photos. Just a white shirt. That day, she held my hand tightly. She said, Gu Yanchen, we won't go public with this now. But in my heart, I know you are my husband. I believed her. The hardest thing isn't being deceived, but having truly believed. I turned my face away. No. Song Wantong's tears fell. Why? You obviously still remember the past. Remembering doesn't mean going back to the past. She covered her mouth, her shoulders trembling. I placed another document on the table. There's this too. She lowered her head. It was a termination notice of authorization. The new letter of intent would terminate Xingtang Technology's exclusive authorization of the Galaxy second generation model. But to avoid impacting the security of existing customers, I would provide a 6-month transition period. After 6 months, the license would become a non-exclusive license and be overseen by an independent technology compliance committee. Song Wantong's face paled. You want to cut it off completely? Yes. That way, Xingtang won't be the primary user anymore. That's right. She stared at me blankly. Are you planning to start a new company? Yes. With whom? With myself. I glanced at her. Song Wantong. I will never entrust my fate to anyone again. She whispered. I can invest. No need. I can help you. No need. She finally broke down. Gu Yanchen. Do you really hate me that much? I was silent for a few seconds. I don't hate you. She froze. I said. Hating someone means you still want something from them. I don't want that anymore. These words hurt her more than any insult. She looked completely hollowed out. I stood up. Sign. Her hands trembled as she picked up the pen. Tears dripped onto the paper as she signed, staining the ink slightly. After signing, she suddenly asked, What about the ring? I said, Throw it away. Her face turned pale. When? The annual party night. She closed her eyes. After a long pause, she finally said, I thought you'd keep it. I glanced at her. When you gave me the divorce papers as your year-end bonus, you should have known I wouldn't tolerate this humiliation. She was completely speechless. I picked up the documents and turned to leave. Just as I reached the door, Lu Jingyan rushed in. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were bloodshot. As soon as he saw Song Wantong, he lunged at her. Wantong. Save me. They're going to sue me. I can't go to jail. Song Wantong staggered back in fright. Lu Jingyan grabbed her arm. You said you'd protect me. You approved all those authorizations. You decided on the signatures on the reports. Now you can't make me a scapegoat. Everyone in the cafe turned to stare at them. Song Wantong's face turned deathly pale. Lu Jingyan. Let me go. He roared. No. You're sacrificing me for Gu Yanchen. Didn't you say he'd leave soon? As soon as he finished speaking, the cafe fell silent. Song Wantong's face was ashen, as if she'd been stripped naked. In public. I didn't interfere. Because this time I didn't need to. The person she chose had ultimately dragged her back into the mire. Lu Jingyan kept shouting. The Song family are all the same. Use them and throw them away. Your mother made you force me to divorce him. And you even said I could stay with you legitimately after the party. Song Wantong's face turned ashen. And she raised her hand to slap him hard. Get out. Lu Jingyan covered his face and grinned. Now you're playing innocent. Song Wantong. You're even dirtier than me. Security guards rushed in and dragged him out. Whispers filled the coffee shop. Song Wantong stood there, trembling. She looked at me. Her eyes filled with pleading. Just like the countless messes I had cleaned up for her over the past 3 years. I glanced at her. Then pushed open the door and walked out. Just before the door closed, I heard her call my name. Yanchen. This time I didn't stop. She finally tasted the bitterness of public humiliation. And I was no longer the one who held an umbrella for her. 3 months later, the divorce decree took effect. Song Wantong returned all the shares and corresponding profits that I had held on her behalf. Lin Huiyan's company was investigated for falsely reporting service fees. Lu Jingyan was taken away by the police for illegally obtaining and leaking business data. Xingtang Technology's stock, while not completely collapsing, never returned to its peak. The board of directors was restructured. Song Wantong resigned as chairman, retaining only a non-executive director position. This time, her retreat wasn't to protect anyone, but because no one could shield her anymore. I founded a new company with a simple name, Xingtang Technology. Her name wasn't mentioned. Nor was anyone else's. President Qin became our first client. On the day of the signing, he looked at the empty wall outside my office and asked with a smile. Nothing hanging up. I said. What should I hang? Trophies. Honors. Founders' photos. I shook my head. No rush. President Qin chuckled. You're still the same. I said. It's different now. He glanced at me. I signed the contract and handed it over. Before, I always thought that as long as I did a good job, others would naturally notice. I capped my pen. Now I know that when it's time to sign, I must write it clearly. President Qin nodded. That's right. On the day the company opened, Su Jailan brought a potted plant. She had left Xingtang and joined an independent compliance firm. She placed the plant by the window. Congratulations. I said. Thank you. She looked at the busy young people in the office. Song Wantong came to see me yesterday. I paused. What did she say? She asked where your new company is. I didn't answer. Su Jailan said. I didn't tell her. I nodded. Thank you. She looked at me. She regrets it. Is that so? I smiled. Her regret is her business. Su Jailan didn't say anything more. That afternoon, I received a package with no sender. I opened it and found a ring inside. I recognized it. It was the one I had thrown away that night at the company's annual meeting. Beneath the ring was a note in Song Wantong's handwriting. I searched for a long time by the trash can. Yanchen. I'm sorry. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I couldn't let go, but simply because it was so absurd. She finally bent down and picked up what I had discarded. But what she picked up wasn't our marriage. Just an old object I no longer needed. I put the ring in an envelope and gave it to my assistant to mail back. The assistant asked, should I add a note? I said, no. No explanation. No accusation. No response. It was clearer than any words. A week later, Xingtang Technology held a new shareholders meeting. I attended the meeting as a shareholder. The location was the same hotel. 3 months ago, I signed the divorce papers here. 3 months later, I sat in the front row, listening to them re-elect the board of directors. Song Wantong was also present. She was wearing a black suit, and her hair was shorter. She stood up when she saw me, as if she wanted to come over. I looked down at my documents and didn't give her the chance. The meeting began, and the host announced the agenda. Speech by the new chairman candidate, report from the Technology Compliance Committee, and the transition plan for the Xinghe project. Every single one of these events concerned me. But this time, I didn't stand on the stage and let others decide my fate. I sat in the audience, with the right to vote. Halfway through the meeting, Chairman Zhao took the stage to speak. He had once been Song Wantong's biggest supporter. But now he said, the company has had serious governance problems in the past, and hasn't shown enough respect to contributors to core technologies. This is a lesson for me. We must learn from this. Applause filled the room. I didn't applaud, because the truth had come too late to be worth being moved by. After the meeting, Song Wantong finally blocked my way. Yanchen. I stopped. She looked at me. Her eyes filled with weariness and wariness. Did you receive the ring I sent you? I did. But you sent it back. Yes. Her eyes reddened. You didn't even leave me a word. I glanced at her. 3 months ago, she was standing in the spotlight, handing me the divorce papers. Now she stands on the edge of the crowd, as if finally realizing that those in the spotlight can also be burned. I said, Song Wantong, we're divorced. Her lips trembled. I know. Then don't let the past haunt me anymore. She lowered her head. I just want to say, I really know I was wrong. I nodded. Then remember it well. She looked up at me. I continued. No. That way. When I come back, you won't treat other people like this anymore. Tears streamed down her face. You really don't love me at all anymore. I didn't answer immediately. At the end of the corridor, people came and went. Someone in the distance recognized me and nodded. No one called me the man behind Chairman Song anymore. No one asked if I was supported by Song Wantong. I finally became my true self. I looked at her. My voice calm. I did love you. A light flashed in her eyes. I continued. But I won't bring the past into my new life. Her tears streamed down her face. I turned and left. This time, she didn't follow. The sun shone brightly as I walked out of the hotel. Old Chen stood by the car. He was now driving for my new company. Seeing me come out, he smiled and asked, Mr. Gu, are you back to your office? I glanced back at the hotel. 3 months ago, I left this place, took off my ring, and launched my counterattack. 3 months later, I left without a trace of anger or regret. I opened the car door, back to the office. The car merged into the main road. My phone vibrated. Receiving a news notification, Yinxing Technology and Xingshi Capital have reached a long-term strategic partnership. The core risk control model has entered the multi-industry application stage. The following news item was an old news report unearthed by netizens, the complete story of Xingtang Technology's annual party divorce agreement. I turned off my phone. Outside the window, The city gradually receded. The newly built office building ahead gleamed under the glass lights. I suddenly remembered that night at the annual meeting, when Lu Jingyan asked me, "Can a man afford to lose?" Now I finally have the answer. Being able to accept defeat isn't about enduring humiliation, but about seeing the situation clearly and withdrawing unscathed. Winning someone back isn't about snatching them away, but about gradually reclaiming the dignity, boundaries, and initiative you once surrendered. I will no longer explain. Nor will I look back. Because true revenge isn't about making the betrayer regret and cry, but about ensuring that from now on, her regret will never affect my life again.